Hello, thanks for coming in. This is Diana with Tim and Diana at Down Home Nesters. Today we're going to do a technique with IOD stamps, and we're going to turn this pottery crock and pottery pitcher into these beautiful aged looking crocks, and it's just going to be so fun to do. So let's get started. I've sped everything up. I'm using DIY paint here in Prairie Gray. And right here we'll see that I had done several pieces at once. Unfortunately, I didn't prepare it very well, but we'll talk about that later. Here's the paper I'm going to be stamping onto. This is like it has grasses in it and so on. It's a rice paper, I think, that has fiber. That's it, fiber in it. And so I'm going to use the cream color eventually. And then here I am with my brand new IOD stamps. And these are the crockery stamps. A lot of people have been using them, and I'm not a stamper, so I've just watched many different pages that are using them, and they talk about not being able to get them maybe around the rounded objects so well. So I kind of came up with this technique for myself, so that there's nothing new. I'm sure people are doing it already, but you have to sand the stamp first to give it a little tooth so the ink will hold. And here I am using clean water. After I stamp it, I use clean water so that I can tear the edges so that they're not too like straight lined and uniform. We want them a little aged and kind of fuzzy. So, and then I'm getting ready. Right here I'm doing the pitcher stamp and doing the same thing with the edges, just tearing it by using the clean water. Then with Mod Podge, after that stays on ink dries, it is good to go. So I put the Mod Podge and a little bit of water on the back of the paper, put it onto the crock, and then I put a little bit of the Mod Podge water mix onto the front using baby wipes. That's a staple with painting, and clean up those edges. And here I'm doing the same thing to the pitcher with the stamp that I chose for that one. And with this one, it's a little more rounded, so I tear the corners, and that helps it to lie flat, and it just worked beautifully. So just get that Mod Podge on there, and sometimes I used to use, you can use any kind of finish like a poly acrylic or whatever you have, or even school glue to do your decoupage. And there it is, still a little wet. And that's the crock version. I'm just loving this. So I'll let that dry real well. And then I'm going to put some clear DIY wax on there, and even went right over that inked paper. So let that dry overnight. Then I came in with this white wax, and no, it wasn't the DIY white wax. I only had some clearance, and it might have been a little old or something like that, but boy, you'd put that on just a tiny little section and it wasn't wiping up that well, so I was really having to scrub on there. And eventually you'll see that, especially on the pitcher, I had some areas that rubbed right off, which can happen. Doesn't have to. I mean, I had decades ago, I did a lot of painting for interior decorators and so on, and I had done these lamps, the ginger jar lamps. I just lightly sanded the lamps and cleaned them up, and then sprayed them with Kills primer. Worked great, and they were just beautiful. So I didn't prime these so well or do anything with them, and then using this clearance white wax, I am using it on these two pieces. Will be the last time I use it. I went out and bought some DIY white wax, thank goodness. But yeah, so just finishing up with the white wax on the crock here. And I kind of go in on the paper just a little bit and feather that out. And then when there's barely any of the wax on that brush, then I just go right over the ink stamp, and that stays on ink, stays on. So you just kind of push that around and then wipe it off. And see, it just stays right there. This is a technique that could be done on furniture. You could do it on, magazine holders, pottery pieces like this, just about anything. And oh, the IOD stamps, there's so many different ones. I kind of fell in love with them. And I have to go back and see what other ones will be fun. I think because as an artist, I paint, I can paint the flowers or landscapes or animals or whatever it is that people want, the greenery. And I've always done commissioned work like that, but I don't do lettering. Isn't that hilarious? You just gotta know your limits. So we'll count on stamps for that. That white wax, I just really like it. This is where I had a lot of the problems, was on the picture. Right under the pouring lip and right under the handle. I kind of lost some of the base paint, came off, and the wax brought it up and everything because I had to push so hard on it, and I really hadn't prepped it very well. So, lesson learned. Still comes out great. I've always through the decades told any of my students when I'm teaching that there's nothing you can paint yourself into that you can't paint yourself out of, even if it's a mural. You just, if you have to, you just roll some paint over it and start a little area or the whole thing again. Yeah, right there I'm realizing, oh no. And so this is showing where I went back in with that base color in the Cool Whip container there, and I just tapped on the places that it had come up, where the paint had come up, and then I feathered it out a little bit. Then with a smaller brush and some of the white wax, I went back over that after it had dried and feathered the white wax out. And here I am, new white DIY wax. Lesson learned. Always lessons learned. But since I was using a certain wax, I stuck with it for the rest of the project. And it turned out great. It still turned out great. Just a little more to fix than I should have had to do. But here it is. I just think these are lovely. They're just so fun. You can just do them on anything. So let me know if you think you'll try it or what you think of this. I just want to thank you. Please hit the like button, the thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you can. We are trying to grow this channel, and we would appreciate so much your help. We're very blessed with all of this and all of the encouragement you all keep offering. Thank you so much. Have a blessed day.